Your Father in heaven is offering you way more than just a sad story to tell. And certainly right now what we have going on is a sad story that's being told. And I'm not demeaning, I'm not trying to minimalize. It is. It is a devastating story in a lot of ways. But I want you to know that in the midst of this, God doesn't just offer that. He's offering another chapter. He's trying to write that chapter right now, one person at a time, one family at a time. And I believe that we can cooperate with God in that, hear what he has to say, and lean into those things. And that's one of the things I want to talk about today. That's why we're talking about resilient, because I believe God wants that, and he's enabled that in every single one of us. The voice of the resilient. It's actually Joseph's words himself out of Genesis 50, verse 20. And it simply says, you intended to harm me. This is what he says to the people who intended to harm him 22 years earlier in his life. He says, you intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good. Now, no doubt there is a lot of uncertainty all around us out there. We have 24-hour news cycles right now that are bringing on experts about this and experts about that. And what are they all doing? They all know enough to conjecture the absolute worst case scenarios. And we're hearing this ad nauseum 24 hours a day. So even if you turn your TV off, whatever network you happen to be watching, you're still going to read about it. You're going to hear about it. You're getting alerts on your phone about it. Doesn't matter if you're cooking or if you're exercising, you're taking a walk. If you've got your devices around you, news alerts are popping up all over the place, and they're all worst case scenario news. And I understand this is drawing the hope right out of us. But as followers of Jesus, I want you to know that God says you and I can lean into this and we can be resilient in the midst of all of this. And here's the big problem that so many of us are dealing with right now is that we're searching for peace. We're groping for rest and calm in our life, but we're not going to find it looking for what most of us are actually looking for. What we're looking for is certainty. You see, we want to come to the point when we could say, I'm certain that 2 days from now, this is going to be the case. I'm certain that 3 days from now or tomorrow or 2 weeks from now, it's going to look exactly like this. And when I become certain that that's what it's going to be like at that point in time, then I can be calm, then I can be peace, and then I can lean into the rest that God says is mine. But here's the thing. We're trying to find certainty about things that are not certain. They're never going to be certain. The reality is for all of us, tomorrow is never certain. But Joseph knew something that we don't very often. I think many of us, we've leaned into this. If we walked with Christ for many years, we've learned to understand this thing and the difference between certainty and this word security. You see, there's a difference between these two, and Joseph knew the difference between them. They sound similar, but they're actually different enough that it means we need to talk about it. The reality is that Joseph was able to lean in and say, you know what? I don't find the peace and the calm and the rest and being able to walk in the safety of my God. I don't find it in the certainty of tomorrow because he didn't have it. In fact, he never had it in his entire story that we read about. There was never a day that he was certain. But he still was one who walked at the side of God, and he did it really well. He did it in a way that we would call him resilient. Well, how did he do that? It's because he wasn't searching for certainty. He had recognized security.